All these rumors are fun to talk about. And Red Bull hasn't blown up yet.
Alex Albon's birthday, and his gift, Logan Sargent's car.
With the drain covers, why is this such a big issue?
That's what I'm saying. Alonso more and more is looking like Aaron Rodgers.
He's geriatric. We just kind of want him for merit mark.
You cannot win a constructors battle when your second driver is not performing.
Grab your popcorn, folks. Things are getting crazy.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Lights Out Latest. My name is Marina, and I'm here with Jason, Tristan, and Steven. Man, I think that might have been the best Imola race I can remember.
Yeah, recent memory. Yeah.
From memory.
Easily. Except there's like a rain race. When was that? 21? 21 was pretty good, but this had a little bit more action.
21, Max still won that year, right? I think so.
Yeah, it was a huge battle. He pushed Lewis through the first chicane.
Yeah,
There was a bunch of rain.
Yep.
Sergio Perez went off track like normal.
Nothing
Well,
else.
spoiler alert.
Yeah, that was a decent race.
In Imola. So 25, 24, 23, 22. So I don't think he won 21.
And no, 21
No,
he
he
did
did.
win that. Yeah.
He did. I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
one?
you remember you pushed Lewis off in turn 1?
It was a rare Lando P3 too. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Did he win 4 in a row? Am I tripping?
No, he did.
So is it 5?
1, 22, 23,
25, 24, 23, 22 would be 4.
Then he's won 5.
5?
Is it 5? I could have sworn the broadcast team said 4.
I mean, it was Rebel's 400th win. I don't know.
No,
Well, it was the B
Hold
team
on.
today, so
Win 22? No, because I could have sworn the broadcast team said 4. And I was
Hey,
welcome to the weekend. he had
Let's
won
just
4.
be honest. F1 could have been wrong. Let's be honest here.
Max.
it happens.
Wait, it doesn't look like no, because they didn't run in 23.
That's,
They didn't run Imola in 23.
Oh,
okay.
That's what it was.
So 20,
yes, because
So
of
it
the
is 4 in a
floods.
row because you knock one of the years off.
25. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So they were right. We just forgot that they didn't have a race 2 years ago.
Yes.
To be fair, though, that was like dominant Max Verstappen era. So if they had run 1, he probably would have been at 5 in a row at this point. Because
Ideally, or if we could have predicted it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But anyways, before we get into all of that, headlines. One of the interesting things that I think didn't really get picked up by social media, which I found surprising, was some recent news. Claire Williams was on the F1 Beyond the Grid podcast, and she essentially alluded to the fact that she blocked Russell from going to Mercedes. I get it. It's like top, I'd say, okay, this is the one time I will say it. For Williams, he was a tier 1 driver, George Russell. So it makes sense that she would want to keep him if he was still in his Williams contract.
Yeah,
But
that makes
I just
sense.
thought it was interesting. I didn't expect Williams to have the power to block it.
I'm not surprised.
Well,
They
at that
definitely had a
time-
contract, and they weren't gonna let him go. Mercedes didn't have power over the driver. They had a contract with Williams. Now she could have released him and said, "Oh yeah, go to Williams," but why are you releasing your best driver to another team? That's never gonna happen.
Williams was still within the family, so there's still had a lot of family money there.
Yeah, but do they have power at that point? Meaning, do
Yeah, they
have
own the driver.
ability-
Yeah.
If
They own the
Toto came up
driver.
and was like, "We're taking George."
No,
Like-
you couldn't do anything. He's
No.
a Williams driver.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I thought that Mercedes had more control over that than they did. According to her, she had more power. Like you said, they had a contract. It's their driver. But I think in my head, there was Williams was never going to block anything, and they maybe even didn't have the power to do that.
Hmm.
I think is interesting. I
think. I mean, this is going to be an analogy you guys don't really get, but for example, in NASCAR, Hendrick Motorsports uses Junior Motorsports as their factory team, I guess you could say, to build talent.
Yeah.
But Junior Motorsports is independent. They are a fundamentally independent organization.
Dale's team, baby.
So now that I've kind of idealized it, Williams is still Williams. They're still
Yeah.
their own team, unlike RB, which I think RB
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
isn't, it's they
Mhm.
are independent, but not at all, Williams is still Williams. So, I mean, I guess that makes plenty of sense then, which I guess gives Claire the opportunity to, slow that process as much as she possibly could in order to keep him. Because for years, I mean, it's either the Gotifi or George Russell. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
who's using in that debate?
Yeah, I mean, although I remember the entire talk of him leading up to actually going to Mercedes was like, it should have been years ago. It should
Yeah.
have been in 22. It should have been 21. It should have been 2020. And they just kept him locked in.
Yeah. I think he was probably there longer than he wanted to be there, and fans expected him to be there.
Same
But-
thing, Toto. Toto probably wanted him sooner.
Yeah. I think also, like, George came in a little bit at the right time, because I really do think, like, if he had come in for 21, I don't think he would be the driver he is today. And I say that because if he was a true number 2 for all of, because he would have been, and for 21, like, it was Max versus Lewis, and that wasn't going to change with
No.
George in the car, in my opinion, especially because of, like, a younger version of George, less mature, whatever. I think he came in at the right time to be like, there's a shift in the team. They weren't as competitive, and that was what he was used to. So I think for him, as frustrating as that probably was, it was probably the best time, because I think it put a lot less pressure on him to be like number 1 right away, compete with Lewis, and he still did Lewis. So I think it, like, people
he beat Lewis in 22.
Than being disappointed by him, which I think
he beat Lewis in 22, which is electric. Also, great side point, in 2020 when he had to jump in the car. I mean, he nearly beat Bottas in qualifying, and he would have won that race if it wasn't for like a flat tire and then later on a botched pit stop. Like, he would have won his first race with Mercedes in 2020. That was a one-off too.
Yeah.
Like, he was on it, and him beating Bottas, like, sure, that 2020 car was dominant, like, even more so than Max 23.
Yeah.
But, like, for him to just walk in and beat Bottas, who's been there for, at that point, like 4 years, 5 years, that was big.
Yeah, 100%. And I think people underestimate Valtteri too. Like,
I mean, there's been races where he out-qualifies Lewis. Like, it happened every single year. He out-qualified or beat him on track.
I mean, Valtteri, fundamentally, you guys might have this knowledge off the top of your head that I don't, but how many wins does Valtteri have in Formula 1?
More than you would think.
Yeah, but
it might still be single digits. Let's see.
It's definitely single digits.
I have a feeling it's like 9.
Yeah.
I was going to guess 8.
Rick.
Let me see.
I'm about to fact check it.
He's got 10 wins.
That's
all right.
Pretty good.
But look at that
67
number.
podiums.
Yeah.
Wow.
Consistency was key. But look at the 10 wins in comparison to somebody like I'm trying to think of a really good number 2 man to a number 1 driver. Like
Rubens Barrichello.
I mean, that's a great example. What Rubens only has 1 win, right?
Yeah, like
and
maybe 2.
It was by Michael gracing him the win.
Yeah, pretty much.
But no, that's a great example though. Is that Valtteri in that era still managed to pick off 10 wins from Lewis Hamilton,
Valtteri,
which is fundamentally impressive. It really is.
Another great was Mark Webber. Hold on, let's see how many wins Mark has.
Valtteri
Against
is.
Seb, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he almost won the championship in 2010, so it's probably more than 10.
Yeah, but Mark had a couple. Like, didn't he have 1 year before Seb came to the team? Or am I wrong?
No, he only has 9 wins. Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
But in that first year, I don't think it was the RB or the Red Bull wasn't very competitive. I don't think.
It's
No,
Red Bull, it's like eras of competitiveness, like truly the era. It was like 10 to 14 or 11 to 14, and then again, like now with like 21. I don't even know. It's not even dominance. It was 21 was just lucky and good driving on Max's side. A little bit of bullying. I'll admit that one. But
I mean, it was a ton of
Seb
skill.
was a bully.
Yeah, you gotta be a bully to be a champion. It is fundamentally coming down to that nuts and bolts.
Finally, someone else speaks up and says this, because when I say it, I get attacked.
I mean, I witnessed it. I think last weekend was a great example. I hate to bring up the Lando debate again, but it's just like he's just not aggressive enough. And you look at like these guys that have won the championships, have won not dozens, but like solid handfuls of championships. They're total dicks. I mean,
We'll call them Charmin ultra soft.
You know, you got to be selfish. I mean, fundamentally.
Even like someone like Fernando, who's won 2, he's still he's still selfish. He still
Yeah.
like knows how to like. And I used the word earlier with 21 bullying. Like fundamentally, unless you have like the standout best car, which Lewis did for a lot of his, Max did for some of his, you have to be a little bit of a bully, like, or you're
Yeah.
not going to take it. Like, it just,
Hey, we
like-
all know what Fernando said.
I will say though, Fernando being a good talking point, he has definitely changed though. Like the Fernando of the past is not the Fernando we see on the racetrack now,
yeah,
which is kind of
absolutely.
why I understand that Aston's not going to win races, but like it's part of the reason
Yo,
why
he
I
was
don't think he's
angry.
as competitive.
Could be.
Is just
Yeah.
that attitude is just kind of going away. He is still there, but like
I think the fundamental problem with Aston Martin is that they don't care. They're like, I understand the
They
team.
hired Adrian Newey. How could they not care?
I understand the
they're
team.
not caring until 26.
Mm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. I think that's the important point. They don't care
Yeah.
until 26.
Same as
Yeah.
Ferrari.
And they care about 26. They care about the new regs. The problem is this like middle stopgap where the team is at kind of a standstill where they don't have pace, they're not competitive, and both of their drivers just don't seem to have a passion for racing anymore. Like
Yeah.
I know it's kind of a hot take, but like I
wouldn't say it's a
don't
hot
see-
take.
I don't see the same Fernando,
I
like
mean-
you said, that we've seen in the past who loves racing. I think he's missing the spark because he knows he can't win. Like the
Yeah.
Fernando of what was that 23 when they went on a run? That was the old Fernando again. But again,
Yeah.
when you get stuck in a team where you're not winning races, you don't have even the potential of like being in a podium. Q3 is like great for you. You're obviously going to lose a little bit of that spark, and then you're paired with a teammate like Lance Stroll, who I have never is a stretch. It's been years since I've seen him want to be there. It's almost like he's there
Yeah.
out of obligation because his
I was gonna
dad.
say, yeah. You have a guy who's on the tail end of his career who's getting, up there in age. Then you have a guy whose dad owns the team. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, for like Fernando literally left the sport after 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, those 3 years, 4 years at McLaren Honda, the McHondas, really
Mm.
killed him.
Took years
He
I don't
left to
blame him.
Toyota.
I don't
Yeah,
blame
he
him.
left for
Yeah.
Toyota and Le Mans, who were dominant. He didn't even have to race it. He went to 2017, the 500,
Yeah.
just coming up here.
The
But like he
unfortunate,
killed it there. He was doing great until Honda let him down there too.
the unfortunate
Thank you.
thing is too.
Good for motorsport and for racing in Fernando. I just don't see a passion for F1 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Fernando
That's better.
IndyCar confirmed.
Wait,
I
did
don't think he's gonna
Fernando-
do it.
This is kind of off topic, but how many years has Fernando tried to get in the 500? So he did 2017.
Only twice.
It was only
It's-
twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
He
or
didn't do it in
24 hours.
2020?
I could see him doing that too.
Because I know he did it in 2019 and then got bumped. But I
Yeah,
wasn't
it
sure if
was-
he did it in 2020.
It's only twice.
Did he get unlucky in 2019? I can't remember.
Yeah, well, 2019, you see, after lambasting Honda for so many years, eventually they didn't let him race a Honda anymore.
Yeah.
So
Right.
he had to go to Chevy, and he raced with Campos, who
Who the
were,
heck is
yo,
that?
they're like a junior team. They're like Prema, but smaller. They race in a lot of
Yeah.
junior categories.
Yeah.
And Campos had an IndyCar team at the time that sucked, and he got bumped because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Get that man
That's-
in the Aston Martin hypercar and Le Mans, and we'll be good.
Well, I hoped that they would have shipped off Stroll to that a lot sooner, but I guess not.
Yeah, true.
Different, like in a different world where Fernando has different career moves, he's one that like you could see being like a Max Verstappen-esque.
Yeah.
He had that same passion, that same hunger. I still think he has the same talent. Not
What
the
if-
same. Max has a little more talent than he does, but it's like very similar, and they have the same like love for racing. They
Yeah.
want to race different categories. They want to race Le Mans together. We'll talk about it in a second because I don't want to spend too much more time on this. But with Max doing the Nurburgring test GT3 as like with his like little alias, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, Franz Herman won
like,
today. Did
that's
you know
something
that?
Fernando would do. Like I totally see Fernando doing that.
Yeah. Would it be a hot take to say that Fernando Alonso is a high end Danny Rick?
Not
I
It's a
know.
wild take.
Rick.
explain
yeah.
what you mean by high end Danny Rick.
Well, you just said it yourself. All the career moves that he's made.
I was gonna say their career paths are kind of similar. In
Yeah.
a weird way, they are. McLaren killed both of them.
Oh, you're
But-
right. He did run 2020. I just looked it up.
He
He
did
made
run
the field
2020.
then, but he had like a clutch issue and was stuck in like 21st or something.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a good pull, Steven. I actually kind of see the light on that one.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I think they both made wrong career moves.
I
Like
agree.
they both went to the right place at the wrong time.
Yep.
I think like they just kind of got stuck.
Yeah.
And then Fernando left. He came back. He had his little bit of his run with Aston. I still would have loved to see Fernando race in a Red Bull alongside Max Verstappen. I think that is the one thing
That would
that,
be
like,
insane.
if I could wish on a shining star and have like one thing for
Red Bull
What-
2010 to 2014 would have been a lot better for Fernando than Ferrari 2010 to 2014.
Yeah.
absolutely.
But then he would have had to contend with Seb.
I think it would have been electric. Like
think
a
it
lot
would've been-
better than Mark Webber.
I think those two
Yeah.
potentially. I mean, I don't know. I think Seb would be down a championship then.
Yeah,
Right.
at
True.
least one.
True.
He almost was with Fernando in the Ferrari.
Yeah, that's what I was
Like
thinking.
actually, he dragged that Ferrari into contention. If Romain Grosjean would have never crashed into him at the 2012 Belgian Grand Prix, Fernando would have won a championship with Ferrari.
Yeah.
Oh man, ruins everything, man.
Like if him and Hamilton didn't crash into each other and then absolutely send it over his car in 2012, like
I hate
the
to
history
see it.
books will look differently upon him. Like,
100%.
I think this might be a hot take. I think Fernando, especially the younger Fernando, the like mentality fits Red Bull a lot better than it fits Ferrari. Like I feel like he
No, I
has
agree.
more of that
I
like
agree.
asshole.
I mean, he raced. Yeah,
does like
Yeah.
he raced for Flavio Briatore. I wouldn't expect any less.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Ferrari image based anyway is really built for that. I don't think they're built for a driver that's an asshole.
I mean, I don't think they're built for a driver who's an asshole while they're at Ferrari.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Like
Yeah.
I think fundamentally Michael's an asshole.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Michael was, but he
But-
was a great person throughout the whole thing.
I think that Michael was also similar to like a Charles Leclerc, where he was almost like idolized and viewed differently at Ferrari.
Yeah. Well, Michael
Like-
had a lot of things going for him, though.
Yeah.
He did all that success with Ferrari, the most popular team at that time, if not all time, in Formula One. He did end up becoming a fan favorite of his own, even outside of Ferrari after retiring.
Yeah.
So like, and also it kind of minimizes for like us young fans who were just like, oh, drive red car. He was fast. He was cool. It's like we kind of minimized seeing what he was like on track because we didn't really get to experience it. So it takes the deeper dive, like from us, like to actually witness, like, oh yeah, this dude was a total jerk off on the track.
Yeah.
Nobody liked him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that's a good segue. We'll really briefly talk about Max and then we'll move on. But like I mentioned, Max did his little side quest again.
At the Nurburgring.
Yep.
Set a
In a
lap,
Ferrari.
showed up in a Ferrari as Franz Herman, but like decked out in Verstappen.com and his normal race helmet. I was like, dude, I'm positive you could have like got another helmet, another suit. Like
There
Oh,
was
for sure.
minimal effort.
there was minimal effort. I think the real thing was, I think on his side, he's like, I don't care if people know that I'm here. I just don't want them to know I'm coming before I get here. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
not have to deal with
Well,
me.
is that just press related? Like he didn't want media to be there?
Yeah,
yeah.
because if you see
Probably.
Max Verstappen on the list, like the place would have been slammed
Yeah.
for what was just a glorified
I-
test. Like,
I don't know
Exactly.
what the other thing is too. I don't know what car he would have done in otherwise, but the most shocking thing to me that was it was in a Ferrari of all things.
nah, it's a customer car. Anybody could buy a Ferrari.
Well, no, I
Yeah.
know, but it's Max, you know.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
Well,
it's
With,
like
like,
a,
factory
with a Red
supported.
Bull livery, I
Well,
guess is what my point
what's
is.
his-
I mean, Alex Albon drove an AlphaTauri Ferrari in DTM, like a legit series
Yeah.
for a whole season. So
it's
I
also-
wouldn't say it's weird.
it's also hard to tell because the car was completely covered in Verstappen.com and Red Bull. Like,
Yeah.
like for like your average person, you see the pictures and no one is saying, "Oh, look, he's driving a Ferrari."
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're right. You'd have to be a
What?
racing fan to
You have to
know
be a
what
racing
that
fan,
looks
you have
like.
to really look into it. Like even my grandma, who's like a hella racing fan, she texted me. She's like, "Do you know what car this is?" Like,
Mhm,
I don't know if anyone
man.
knows this,
The
but when
car-
he's on iRacing, right, driving GT3s, like what does he drive there? Is it a Ferrari just as well, or
drives everything. And I think the difference is like when it's not a real, like when it's a sim, not like a physical real car. I don't think anybody cares. Like,
No,
it's fair.
I
agree
could drive a
with you, yeah.
Ferrari in a sim.
yeah.
You're also a Ferrari
Like
fan.
I think the sim is like, I mean, it is, but it's like it's fake. Like nobody like.
Yeah.
See,
It's-
but I guess here's my philosophy when it comes to like, I mean, I think everybody here has some perspective on this. When I play a racing game, and let's say everything's unlocked, and you like this one series in particular, and you try all the cars, you find one that you like the most.
Yeah.
Or drives
Like-
the fastest. Like I know in Gran Turismo, the fastest cars are either the Porsche 911, the RSR, or the Supra. Or you could do the 458 Italia, the Ferrari. It's a little bit
Yeah.
unstable, so I usually don't like it.
No, well, that's the thing though. Is like
Yeah.
somebody finds that as their niche though. Like that might actually
Yeah.
work out for them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
sure.
it's like one example. I like in the dirt rally games. I always like to drive the Ford RS 200.
Ooh,
Even though a lot of
baby.
people choose the Audi Quattro or the Lancia Delta or stuff like that, I just like the
Well,
Ford.
yeah, that's how
Right?
I
It
am
feels
too.
it always drove right for me. So like
Mhm.
that's why I asked that question earlier. I guess like it's
Yeah.
off topic, but like I wonder
It's
if,
probably something like that.
like did he like the Ferrari the most? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just interest. It's pure curiosity question for me.
absolutely.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's like it's the little like the continuation of Max, the like motorsports junkie. Like he's
Yeah.
looking for the next time he can be on track, and like especially with like because it's like you think about it like in reality, it's so easy for him, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone wants him to drive their car. He also has a ton of cars. He has a ton of people that can get him like a car for an afternoon or whatever. He's right there. Like he takes his private jet, flies in, does however many laps he did, and leaves, and is back by the end of the day. It's like a little side quest. Like it's like
Yep.
if
Must be
one
nice.
of us were to like go over to like a small like racetrack next to us and do some karting. Like it's the same like idea, you know?
Is there do we know the reason why he did it or did he just do it?
I think he just did it. I think he just wanted to.
Fun, good stuff.
Max is
Nice.
just like, you know what
What's
I want
funny
to do today? I want to
is,
set a
like-
Nurburgring record.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Broadbent was there doing the same test because he did like a video where he had a live in-car camera. I don't know if do you guys know who Jimmy Broadbent is?
I do
Yeah.
not.
Okay. He's like like an internet
He's
personality.
like the racing streamer. Like if you want to watch
Yeah.
somebody stream race, like he's sim race, like he's the
Thanks.
top guy.
He got popular during COVID because
Yeah.
he started to race with a lot of the guys that were on during COVID.
Yeah.
And now he's turned that into an actual racing career, which is kind of cool. But he was doing that test and he did like a little live video on his Instagram. He took his live footage because Max just flew past him
Mm.
like on one of the straightaways. He was like, "That's Max Verstappen."
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What was funny too is it ended up tying back to Formula One because I don't know who sent me this. I think it was Jason. Jason, I saw it, but Jason sent it to me. He was like, "Check out the name," because F1 posts their FP1 like timing tower, and it's France Herman instead of Max Verstappen. And
Yeah.
There
like-
was posters there this weekend too. On
Yeah.
the, like
this whole meme,
it
yeah.
was pretty cool. Yeah,
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
F1 played into it too.
I think it's funny though because it's like you really didn't see that much of like on a Max side of like them asking him about it. Like
No.
they asked him a couple questions, but it was like whatever. It was more like the meme. It's like for Red Bull, it was the best of both worlds because it was like Max doesn't have to do media, but I can still get all of this content out of it, and everyone's talking about my driver. It was like like again, I feel like I've probably said this on this podcast like 100 times. From a PR perspective, it worked out perfectly for them. Like it could not have been better.
I love how it also took him all of 2 seconds to come up with that fake name.
Yes.
Oh, that dude
He's-
has 1,000 aliases. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like 2 seconds.
Like nobody's booking a restaurant booking under Verstappen Max.
No.
It's gonna
No.
be Herman Franz or
Hey,
who else is
well, you know what?
irrelevant?
I was gonna
Villeneuve
say,
Jack. Yes.
you can't-
He's also irrelevant.
That's brutal.
So
You can't use
Yeah.
Franz Herman anymore though. That thing's dead.
Anyways, moving on. Last couple headlines. Very quickly, want to touch on the fact that Kimi Antonelli turned Imola into a class field trip, brought his whole class along to the race weekend, which I think is really like funny, but also like usually people use this term and they're talking about like them being like seen as like, oh, you like know how old I am, like as in like older. But like he really aged himself. Like, I'm gonna bring my class along. Like my high school class is over. Like
Fernando's just in there like, oh no.
I mean, that's pretty cool because his school's probably only like an hour away from the track.
Yeah, like that's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean,
All of that just to see the Mercedes engine blow up on him.
I'm
Kind
very
of disappointing.
I'm curious what his teachers thought about that, because I can see it like be like a teacher that like hates him. It's
No,
just
they
like
probably loved it. The only downside is Imola is a terribly old track, and all the like. I don't know if you see videos, but one person like posted photos and videos of the bathroom, and it was just
really?
Yeah, it was like the toilets didn't flush, so like all the toilet paper was piled in the corner.
Nice.
It was disgusting.
Nice.
Hence why F1's not renewing Imola, because it's an old facility.
Yeah, it needs to be updated.
Love Imola.
It can't host F1 anymore.
I do.
It needs to be like totally renovated.
Imola has lost its super license.
I hate.
There's actually a license for tracks.
No, I know.
It's mostly capacity and track safety, not facility quality, right? Like they could always figure out the quality for the premium seating, but beyond that, like actual facilities, it's like not great.
All I'm saying is we need to bring back. I was gonna say all I'm saying is we gotta bring back the Imola Oval. That's all I'm saying.
Monza Oval.
Monza Oval. My bad.
Monza Oval. Yeah.
Get Jimmy Johnson on the Monza Oval.
Oh my
because you mentioned it, we can talk about it briefly. But I
Kyle Larson, how about that, Marina? F1 races the Oval Monza with Kyle
Let's
Larson.
talk about that. There is history with that.
Yes.
We're gonna talk about it.
So, like, because you brought it up, now I have to talk about it. I'm gonna go on a mini rant. 5 seconds. I promise. It does. We are talking about racing. So if anybody knows, if you've seen the podcast, if you've been on social media, you know the little like Kyle Larson quote. And Kyle Larson I just don't like him, period. But that quote like put me over the edge. And so I watched F1 quali and I had time to kill. And I was like, I'm going to go watch the Indy 500 quali, as one does because it's the Indy 500. So I throw it on and the first thing that comes up, Kyle Larson's doing an interview. I was like, I'm gone. Goodbye.
Wait, what's his quote? I think I'm out of the loop.
This is old.
He said, I know without a doubt that I'm a better driver than Max Verstappen. And I said, show me you can turn right first.
Show me that Max can turn left. Better.
Hell yeah, brother.
Better than turn one? Better than turn one in Imola? Is that a left?
Need an oval, my lady.
Bro, it's like, I'll say the biggest comparison is, it's like if Kyle Larson is bilingual and Max is one. I would throw Max on dirt. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's give him a rally race.
Rallycross
It's actually interesting because, like, I wonder how the two of them would compete in rally.
Yes.
Because
I would love to see those two in rally cars.
That would be really cool because Kyle has the experience of a rough racetrack, like of dirt and stuff like that. But Max is better, like overall, like G control and like how rally cars are just going like this and this and this. I don't know.
He's definitely driven a rally car before. Like, I think Max.
Oh, he totally has, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe willing to bet Kyle has on iRacing, too, because Kyle loves iRacing as well.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Man, we'll put that to rest for now. That'll be another fight down the road, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the world could ask for the two of them to hopefully have a competition at least once.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
It would be nice.
There's a lot of drivers, though, like Kyle Larson, like Max, that I would love to see compete together to see, like, what their actual strengths are or weaknesses are on something that, like, people, like a rally car or something that's not their direct disciplines. Like, they're good at it. They have their thing, but that's not what they do. Like, Alex Palou. Like, Alex Palou is, like, the amount of times I've now seen this season of someone being like, we don't need another, like Steven even said it earlier, we don't need another Max Verstappen in motorsports. Like that, the like kind of dominance that he's showing again is like, I'd love to see him. Obviously, him in an F1 car, you can't compare it to Max. Max has been driving this style of car for years. But like, if you put him in a rally car, alongside Kyle Larson and Max Verstappen and see who's actually the fastest, I think that would be interesting.
Let's just get them in Dakar and just see what happens.
Huh. It's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a completely new discipline. I mean,
Dakar
It's a
Extreme
good
E.
pull.
Yeah.
But anyways, last little bit of news. I want to mention this, and then we got to move into the weekend because we're like 30
Wait, there was
minutes.
a race?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh.
Shocker.
Well, we're just yapping. It's school's ended. We haven't seen each other in a long time.
Yeah, for context, we filmed last week, and then we had our little like last studio one. But then because we're not on campus, and these guys won't be back on campus because they're ditching me because they graduated, we have to this is our chance to like catch up and yap about motorsport stuff that we've seen. But anyways, Anthony Hamilton, FIA.
Yeah.
I was so confused.
Oh yeah.
When I saw this
that's pretty
headline,
cool.
I was like, what do you mean he's been working with the FIA as like an advisor to the young driver program for months?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
That's
kind
pretty
of it's
cool.
kind of random, but I mean it makes sense.
I think
I like that.
connected some dots for me of like, wait, did he know Isaac?
I was gonna
like,
say, yeah, it's possible.
That like something that maybe for him was kind of like almost a way in. Did it start after that? Did it start before? Because like the statement was so vague and like the comments were so vague that like I actually have no idea what.
Yeah, it was
is
very
actually happening,
mysterious.
but I thought it was worth a mention because it was so like out of the blue, kind of like the Claire Williams statement. It was just kind of like I was not expecting it. So
Yeah,
Not to be confused with the American singer and songwriter
You just
Anthony
looked it up
Hamilton.
too, Jason. I clicked on the first thing. I was like, who the hell is that?
it doesn't help that he's like the same age.
Yeah.
And also black. Like
They look.
on the
I was like,
surface,
wait.
like,
oh
on
my
the
gosh.
surface,
Oh.
it does not help that they were like
been the dad of 7-time world champion.
Grammy award-winning Anthony Hamilton. I'm
Love that
talking
guy.
about.
No, what I was gonna say is I think it's really interesting that as we've talked more and more about Muhammad just not being very good at his job, more and more characters are starting to come out of the woodwork that are potentially filling really good roles within the FIA.
Anthony Hamilton as FIA president would be awesome.
No, you see, I hope it's
disagree.
Carlos Sainz. It should be a racing driver.
No,
it
of
should
course.
be somebody
I'm
that
just saying
has
in
been racing.
theory. In
And
theory,
not
it'd be cool.
Abu Dhabi, like Middle East champion racer Ben Sulayem.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. I think the role is actually spot on for him too. Again, we saw it earlier this year when he comforted Isaac and whatnot. He's really good with connecting with a lot of the younger drivers. So like, getting a young in getting involved in the FIA in that role could be such a win for everybody involved.
He did raise the most successful driver of all time.
He did.
With zero money and 3 jobs. Like,
Also, one of
That's
the
not
like
resume
he
right
knows
there.
how to carry a driver through the toughest.
He also
challenges.
raised him into one of the most respectful and like kind drivers we've
Mhm.
seen in Formula One.
Yeah.
So I think if there's anybody with a good experience in terms of that, I think Anthony Hamilton could fill the role very well.
Yes.
I agree.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Exciting things, but like I'm so like I like that you brought that up because we've seen so many people like we hate the face of the FIA, right? Like as a fans.
No, just Ben. Ben's been
Well,
worse.
The
I'm saying,
FIA logo
kind of
makes
is the
me
face,
cringe.
yeah.
He kind of is the face of the FIA, and then the other like face of the FIA is almost like
The
for
race
lack of a better
director.
list.
But we've had so many that's been fired. It doesn't really matter.
Like what I mean by face is like we hate the FIA's decisions that we don't ever put a face to, and then the only face we see is Muhammad. And granted, the hatred for Muhammad I think is so valid, but I think there's so many people at the FIA that are just genuinely like they're good people and they're doing good work. It's just that it's been overshadowed by like the negativity. Yes, Professor Jason.
I gotta shout out. I mean, we always talk about the bad, but we should shout out the good. It looks like the FIA relaxed Article B on the strictness on radio and cursing in public seats.
Max can curse on
So-
radio again. Let's go.
So now he could say all Cracker Jacks on the radio, or like, George can say "blimey" or whatever backcountry England sayings he could say. Like, God forbid he offends somebody in like York County. who has
Yorkshire
some obscure curse that like nobody understands.
No, I just
Like he calls somebody a crosser tosser. Nobody knows what that means unless you Google
That
it.
man is an absolute spoon.
it's on the sheet. But what did you make of the potential of him removing or like messing with the cost cap? Because I feel like the cost cap is finally working, and now we're like,
Yeah.
actually, like no more.
I mean, I'm all for it.
No,
I think
you
it'd
better
be cool.
not. It's literally made F1 the most competitive ever.
I agree. I think the minute you remove it, teams like Red Bull, Ferrari, even McLaren now with all the sponsorships they have and like the pedigree they've built, like those teams are going to be spending upwards of 400 million again.
Easily.
And you're going to be
Sure.
with the Alpines and the Williams of sorts spending 100, and we're back to where we started. I think we're finally getting to a point where it's working. And I think also because I think one of the things that probably went under, I mean, I don't want to say underappreciated, but like nobody really talks about it with the cost cap is also the staff that you have and the workers, because people have shifted a lot recently that I think it took a couple years for people to finally like kind of hop around, which I think is also making people better. Like Adrian Newey leaving Red Bull and things like that. Like that's also helped people.
Also, it's going up substantially next year. It's going up to like 215 million.
Half of that's economy, half of it is, I don't know.
It's pretty much what I've heard is it's pretty much just for Audi. Like Audi is like, we need to spend this much to be competitive. We can spend this much. We want to spend this much. We won't come to the sport unless we can spend as much as we think we need to be competitive. And apparently that's 215 million. So
interesting. So interesting. Let's move into the weekend. Let's talk
finally
the race.
Finally,
we need to put like a 30-minute time stamp at the start of the video.
If you want to watch the race coverage, jump here.
If you want to talk about Imola, jump 30 minutes.
All right.
But let's start with qualifying. The first thing, if anybody pulls up highlights, or the first thing if you were watching quali, Yuki Tsunoda just went flying.
Yeah,
he did.
And
he got airborne.
He went for a ride there.
For me was the fact that I didn't know he went airborne until they played the replays. Like, I thought he skirted across, but it
happened like that, you know?
Yeah.
Tougher, I did like, somebody made a meme on Instagram, though, because obviously he was fine. But someone made a meme, if everyone's seen Talladega Nights, is when Ricky Bobby gets airborne, he goes, "Yep, I'm flying through the air. This is definitely not good." It's just because that's what it was. It was a hard cut to him just in the wall.
Yeah.
It was like, oh no.
Well, it's funny, you know, you look at the car, it's like, at that part of the track, it's like, how is all four corners of the car smashed? You see the replay, it's like, oh. That's why.
I had like a true brain fart moment when that happened, because I'm literally sitting and I'm watching on the TV the qualifying session, but I have like F1 TV on my phone and I'm watching Max's onboards, as I do, as Steven knows, I do this every time. And yet I'm watching Max continue his lap and I see Yuki crash and I go, oh my God, was that Max? First of all, Max doesn't crash like that. Second of all, I was
Don't jinx yourself
Max.
now.
I was literally watching him go on the lap, and I'm like looking at the TV, and I'm like, "Oh my God, please tell me that was Max." I was like, Marina, like, are you okay? Like, but honestly,
the answer to that question is no.
I think honestly, it kind of almost couldn't have come at a worse time for Yuki, because I feel like we're kind of coming around to the calendar where obviously he's an experienced F1 driver now. He's been there for a long time, but we're coming around to the calendar where I feel like all the younger-ish drivers strive because their tracks they've been racing at. Everybody's been racing at for years.
Yeah.
Also, they get no testing at all.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel for Yuki, but also like...
You know what, though? At the end of the day, if you're Yuki Tsunoda, you have nothing to lose, to be honest. Because it's not like he's going to get replaced by anyone.
No, you see, it's next year. It's like, you're right? Him crashing now isn't that bad. But, like, if he makes it a habit, he does this again in, like, Brazil or Mexico, like, that's going to affect what happens next year.
I'm just saying, don't worry about it too much at this point.
Do you think that this car was more totaled than Checo's car in Monaco last year?
No.
No, they're equally as
but wasn't
wrecked.
Checo's car a big deal because they thought, or no, that was Williams last year. They said they cracked the shell of the
Yeah, so you need to
Yeah.
replace the monocoque.
Yeah, no, I don't
Yeah.
know about. Well, I will say, while talking about this, I looked up the Destructors Championship standings, and if it is updated accurately, Yuki is now 5th in the pegging order. Who do you think is number 1?
Fernando.
No,
Alexa?
no. I didn't think about this until I saw it. Obviously, I'm like, I guess this checks out. Steven, you get a guess, and I'm gonna say it.
Okay. I was gonna say Lance, but that's definitely not it.
No.
Liam Lawson?
No, Jack Doohan
That was gonna be my next guess.
Really?
Okay.
at 1.5 million.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Lando Norris is P2.
Is he really?
What did
1.2 million.
what did Lando do?
Didn't
gonna say,
Lando?
he didn't have a
did he
crash,
have-
really.
What did he have? Something blew on him in one of the races. I can't remember.
Oh, so it wasn't even his fault. It was
no,
like,
but it still
That's
counts as
what I was
damage.
going to say about Jack is half of Jack's were driver error, and the other half were driver error that happened to him. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
his fault. Like his last race, that turn 1 incident was, in my opinion, not Jack's fault. Like
No.
he just kinda got stuck there. He had nowhere to go. So like there's part of that too. Like if you really look at the Destructors, there's years when, and like at the end of the year we look at it and we're like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like this is the person that crashed the most or whatever. This is the worst driver of sorts or whatever. But like when you look at it right now, like again, like with Lando being up there, like that's just like they just got unlucky. Like they just, God forbid, they be at the wrong part of the racetrack at the wrong time.
It
So,
will come season's end. It'll even out for sure. Lando's not even going to probably be in the top 5 come season's end.
Yeah, like-
Knock on wood.
I
But
just thought of it. I don't remember. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, is Franco on that list now?
let me check. You guys can talk while I check.
I was about to say I can't remember the last time Lewis Hamilton had a big crash.
Yeah.
21.
He's not even listed. He doesn't have any.
Yeah,
lucky
I mean
wins.
his biggest crash was probably Monaco that year, and like that wasn't even a big crash. That was like a racing incident that unfortunately left both cars tangled together.
Franco is on the website, but he's actually not listed on the Destructors yet. So this might not be updated.
So he might be a P1.
Yeah.
I think Yuki's probably
Yeah.
higher than this weekend because
More than
honestly,
likely.
I would be surprised if it wasn't about $1 million repair.
Yeah.
A close
Yeah.
to $1 million repair. What happened? Because like, tell me one part of the car from an exterior perspective that didn't need to be fixed. Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
It was all of it.
bodywork is gone, front wing, gearbox, like it's all totaled. Like there's suspension, it's all gone. Like it was like it was basically a tear down. You pick
Mhm.
everything off of the main bodywork of the car and throw new parts on. Like so. Anyways, I mentioned Franco. Franco also crashed. Franco's crash was like whatever. I was almost expecting it, but what I wasn't expecting was the amount of time afterwards that we stood and waited for the FIA to decide whether or not Ollie Behrman crossed the line under red flag or not.
Yeah, that
I
was
like,
ridiculous.
guys, we're F1. This is the pinnacle of motorsport. Can we make this a little bit quicker? Like we've
If
sat
I
there for
had
like
a
10
nickel
minutes
for every
trying to
time
decide
that
who
was
crossed the line,
Yeah.
who crossed the line. So
I mean, do
I
you
was
think I feel like his lap should have counted personally, but
yeah, what do y'all
I
think?
don't know.
Do you say yes?
from what I've seen, I feel like yes. But
I was going to say, kind of loosely on the same page with Steven. Just from what I have visually observed, I think yes, but I haven't looked. I got to go look at it again, I think. I haven't looked at it since.
What I think
Well,
is if you watch the onboards, it should have counted. But if you go based on what the FIA has and the timing towers, I'm pretty sure the red flag came out before he crossed the line. The question, like the issue being, he couldn't have seen that because it takes a second for
that's what I was gonna
between-
say.
And F1
There's
is
a
so
delay.
quick. There's probably a 2-second difference from the time the red flag came up and the time, not even 2 seconds from the time the red flag showed, like the screens showed, and the time he crossed the line. But that's enough of a difference where the red flag was in effect. It just hadn't showed up on the screen yet. Like they have that.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
delay. So I think
Yeah.
on paper, probably yes.
Yeah.
You see, the rules are rules. I mean, the spirit of the rule is like you don't want drivers going around race speed when there's a red flag.
Yeah.
The actual, and by that, like he was crossing the line anyways, it would have mattered. But by the letter of the law, you're not going to let that slide. So,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Fair
jeez,
enough.
my hat, my
Jason,
thinking cap.
I like that you mentioned your hat because we're getting to that time where
Oh,
you've got
boy.
to tell me how disappointed you are. It's become like a weekly occurrence, right? I toss to you and I'm like, so like, how mad are we?
Well,
Mad
Makes you
level.
do you want me to start now?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, pretty upset about qualifying. Having a double-digit number is not fun. But they made up for it, right? Even though the safety cars happened, Ferrari made the right calls, pitted at the right times, and made the stops work, meaning we finished like P4, which we almost had a shot at the podium. So I'll take that. Good job from P12 to P4. That was pretty great by Sir Lewis.
This might be a hot take, but I honestly think Alex Albon had a better chance of getting a podium than Charles Leclerc.
Until the final
most
safety
definitely.
car, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like even with the safety car, yeah. I thought you were going to say then Lewis Hamilton. I was like, no shot.
No.
But yeah, then Charles Leclerc, yeah. He
Yeah.
put up a hell of a defense. Like he
he
was defending hard on the old tires. Like he made some masterful moves. I mean, there was that one where like, yes, he did push Alex off and had to let him through. But up until that point, he was defending incredibly well and very fairly. So points to him. That was cool.
It's interesting because I don't think Charles Leclerc came into F1 as a master defender, but I think Ferrari has countlessly put him in so many situations where he doesn't have the pace to strike ahead and he's just worried about who's behind him, that he's become really good at positioning his car in a way that's really difficult, especially in somewhere like Imola where it's so narrow, like so straight, it's really tough to overtake. Like,
well, talking about surprising, we keep saying, and everybody keeps saying how Norris doesn't have racecraft. Today, he had a heck of a racecraft.
Sure did.
Racecraft. He was passing a lot of people,
still
making big moves.
Don't hate.
I mean, yeah, but like, I just want to say, I think Alex, who was in the booth for Sky today?
Oh, I have no idea.
Sky?
I didn't even recognize the names. Anyways, they're like, yeah, who say Norris can't overtake? Like, he did really good.
Saying that.
Yeah.
This is like fun, like at the end of the day, and if we're going back to like paper, right? Like on paper, and I will never forget the clip. If you've seen the clip, you've seen the clip of Tristan going, fundamentally, you're wrong. If we look at paper, like on paper, if you just look at the race result, Norris finished ahead of Piastri. But I think that even with that, if you look at, I think where they pitted Oscar was a huge mistake. I think they made a mistake.
Norris had 2 bad pit stops.
Yeah,
but Lando had the mistake as well.
Yeah,
I think it was tough because you couldn't bring Oscar in without losing another position. So it kind of like they kind of just got stuck. It's like Charles was similar where he was like, what do we do? Especially like the full safety car.
Yeah, that really messed everything
even
up.
Still, like, I think this was a good moment to like almost, I don't want to say this because it makes me think, I don't think that Oscar is particularly like arrogant or anything, but it's almost like knock him down a peg and be like, there is still competition here. There's still a fight. Lando is like, I'm still here. Don't forget about me.
Well,
but I still think on track, if you watched the race, you still came out of it thinking Oscar was stronger. The overtake teammate, like Lando had a fundamentally easy race. He inherited a lot of his positions except for the one overtake on Oscar and on George. That's it. That's all he did.
Yeah.
Like, for lack of a better way, like that's all he did all race, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Oscar had to come back through the pack with the way they pitted him. So I don't know.
You're not wrong.
He did fumble to start, Oscar. Made his race a lot tougher. It could have been a lot easier if he would have kept pole position. But
that actually reminds me, that is something I wanted to say. Today is like the first day we've seen in a while Oscar's like human. You know?
Yeah.
Like he said himself he made a mistake in that corner.
He had a decent start though. He had a decent start. You know, he gave Max the racing room. but Max made a heck of a move.
Yeah.
I don't know how you break that late into turn 1.
Well,
Yeah.
Like, on fresh tires with fresh brakes,
Yeah.
like after sitting on the grid.
I think
That was insane.
The commentators, because like all the commentators, like whoa. I think what shocked them was the fact that truly, like Max was third. Max was gonna come out third out of turn 1, and then he like went around the outside, and like I said, Oscar talked about like he braked way too early for that corner. And on his side, like maybe that was a bit of a mistake. But either way, like George had a great launch. And so Max was like trailing behind, and he just happened to be like kind of at the right place and then sent it around the outside.
Yeah.
I was stunned. I was like, if that doesn't win overtake of like the month, I'm gonna be really disappointed.
I was gonna say it's definitely in contention of overtake of the year. I don't know if it'll win, but it is up there. It really sucks because, like, from George's perspective too, like you're saying, he had the best start of all of them.
He just boxed it.
Yeah, he just got boxed out. Yeah. Like, he couldn't do anything with it because Oscar was too slow and Max was just fast enough where he couldn't get around him quick enough. It really sucked because, I don't know, that could have dictated George's entire Grand Prix. It could have been on podium, unironically.
Yeah.
But, so.
I don't know. Go for it.
I was going to say, the funny thing to me about the Max move is that regardless of Oscar making a mistake there, I think we all know he would have gone for the same move no matter what.
Oh yeah. The question was Max going to stay on track if Oscar braked later? That's the only, because I think Max still would have gone for it. I think he probably would have had to go through the gravel there.
Yeah. Well, I think it probably would have turned into a situation like Alex Albon when it was between the two Ferraris there later in the race.
Something similar. I don't know if he would have gone that far off track.
Right.
And I think he likely, this is kind of hard to believe, like, Max, but I think he would have backed out a little bit.
Hopefully.
I don't know. I was going to say, for those two robots at the front of the field, I actually think they would have crashed. I know, like, in a weird, I understand both of them are so talented and so good, but I think if Max didn't stick it, like, I really think that I don't know. Like, it was a perfect sequence, if that makes sense.
It's like putting two atoms together. You get a big kaboom.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Wow.
I haven't seen a crash between those two before because I think they're very similar in that, like, they're not going to back out. And one of the things I think they even mentioned on the broadcast, that move reminded me so much of Oscar's move on Lando and Monza last year.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where it was, I think that one of the keys to making the move stick more than just Oscar breaking early or whatever was the fact that nobody saw it coming. Like Oscar had nothing. There was nothing he could do because at that point it was almost too late, and Max just put it perfectly. And the same thing kind of happened last year in Monza, where like there was nothing Lando could do. Like Oscar just perfectly placed the car, and they almost crashed too last year. So it could have gone poorly, but it just went spectacularly for a Max fan. So
the first of Max's luckiness in this race.
Oh, we're gonna talk about the safety car.
Sorry, can we backtrack? First of all, that wasn't lucky. That was talent.
I'm just busting your balls.
Safety car.
I'm just busting your balls. Relax.
I think there's like a 50-50 in me where it's like on one point it's like, oh, poor, like you probably,
if anybody got lucky with the safety cars, it was both of Ferraris. They did not deserve to finish like 4th and 6th.
Yeah,
but they took advantage correctly, made the pit stops, and made it work. So
half of winning is luck.
It's like you probably wouldn't expect me to say like poor Lando, but it's almost like in this particular situation, I don't think it's poor Lando because if you listen to the commentators talking about it, and I was shocked, I was like, what was the point of bringing in Lando right then? I felt like there was no point in bringing him in when they did. And so if they had left him out, it wasn't like, there's times when it's like Charles will get, like this happens to Charles all the time. He'll get unlucky. He'll like pit the lap or two before the safety car. And usually you're like, oh, that sucks, whatever. But they legitimately had a reason to pit him. Like there's a gap they were trying to maintain, or they were trying to like manage, they were trying to do the undercut or whatever.
Yeah, nobody knows when a safety car is gonna happen.
Exactly. Whereas like for Lando specifically in this situation, I was like confused as to why McLaren was bringing him in. Like they were simultaneously as commentators talking about, I feel like they should just leave Lando out, make him go long, and then they're like, oh wait, never mind, he's coming into the pits. Like everybody was confused, and then he's exiting the pits, and we see the yellow flags, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Orlando.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
But I think to your point, the Ferrari never. Did you say what did you say? Monaco? Something Monaco?
No, I said we're on a Monaco.
Is that the mentality? You just gotta see. Monaco is one where like sometimes strategy is kind of irrelevant, but like Charles lost a win in Monaco due to strategy. So like,
so did Kimi Räikkönen in 2018.
Well, Danny didn't lose the strategy. Danny
lost because they forgot the tires. I don't know what they're doing.
Well,
Literally one job was bring out the tires.
Forward.
They had no tires.
Clip of Trevor Noah's son
No.
talking to Danny Rick. If you I will send
you talked about this before. Yeah.
Before. He was like, it was the cutest thing because the kid is like, I want to say he's like 6 at the time at least, and he's not old enough to have watched it live, but he's like, he'll scroll on YouTube and stuff, and then he was like, you came into the pits and you just stood there. There was no tires. It was the cutest thing I've. So cute.
Oh, that's funny.
My gosh.
Really funny, but it was kind of like, it was funny because I was expecting kind of after that the pit stop sequence. I think the other thing that factored into the safety cars and the strategies was the fact that they went one step softer with Pirelli. I was questioning it when Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll made it into Q3 on mediums and George Russell set his P3 lap time on mediums. I was like, guys, I don't know if this is where we want to go. But I think it proved to be the right call in the race because everyone pitted at a different time. There were the Max, the Orlando who stayed out, and like Lewis stayed out on hards. The people that stayed out on mediums, people that stayed out on hards, people that pitted early on hards or pitted early on mediums, that diversified the strategy because everyone kind of had a different tire that like kind of they were managing. So that was interesting too.
True.
But
True.
I feel like I'm forgetting things
from the race.
I think that was most of it. I mean,
yeah.
Who? Nobody else really crashed. Anything you're forgetting is probably pretty forgettable.
Well,
yeah.
Like, Ocon's engine failed. Yeah, that's
2 engine failures.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, you're right. 2 and 2 weekends.
As well.
Yeah. Almost 3 actually.
Yeah.
Did we get particulars as to what failed on the engine? Was it just the engine or?
Yeah, I mean the dash lights were still on, so it wasn't anything electrical.
Right,
what was Kimmy's issue?
That was the same thing. Wasn't it also an engine?
Well, his schoolmates put some sugar in the fuel tank. Like,
I used the green handle diesel gas.
I used the green handle because it's Christmas gas and it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
I love that video. That video is pure anarchy.
It's a shame. Currently, we're seeing a trend of home race like botches recently that are kind of like not your like they're not necessarily like horrible and they're not like necessarily the driver's fault, but like
just say Charles is gonna lose next week. Just say it.
Well, I mean,
he broke the curse.
Well, is he gonna qualify on pole? I mean,
no.
Yeah. The race is Saturday, boys.
Next year.
I think for the car they have, I think Charles will substantially out-qualify the car. Charles, there's something special about Charles Leclerc in Monaco. There always has been in qualifying. Yeah. He's gotten unlucky a lot in the race, but in qualifying terms, like, I think he will qualify well. I think he will be top 5-ish quality-wise. And I don't think that's necessarily where the Ferrari is. We'll see when we come through practices and stuff, but I don't think that the quali on pure pace on a given weekend is top 3, top 5. Like, I think they're like 6th is like their like sweet spot.
I really do think there's gonna be a surprise in qualifying. I think there's gonna be somebody in the top 3 that we do not expect at all in the top 3.
I would assume so, like, just because of the nature of Monaco.
Like
that's what I was gonna say. I thought it was gonna be one of the Williams drivers, maybe in the P3.
Yep.
Alex had a good race. Alex got really unlucky, but like the Williams on pure pace were kind of flying.
Solid.
Yeah.
Like they're making steps in the right direction. I think Carlos is getting really frustrated with himself because I think he's gotten some really good qualifyings, but when he gets to the race, there's some I almost want to say like operational things going on with him and Williams where they're just kind of not on the same page. And it's been continuous. Like every week there's something that just doesn't go right for Carlos and he ends up further back.
Yeah.
But
well, I think it's the same thing that's going on with Lewis and Ferrari. You know, it's just lack of settlement at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Lewis is an interesting one because Lewis like finished sixth and was like overjoyed.
Today, fourth.
Yeah,
because he made up 8 places, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And then he got to like say hi to all of Tifosi there, so he had a good time. He posted that on his. I posted that on my story.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And the radio call at the end of the race, he's like, "Yeah, this is for the fans. This is it. That's what this was for." I was like, "Yeah, he had a fun day. That was good."
Yeah. I'm assuming he probably did pretty well in fantasy then because he made up a ton of spots.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us had good fantasy.
I did at Ferrari.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well, I will say small golf clap for Luna. I think she took P1 in the league.
Yeah.
I'm now leading fantasy. And I would like to point out the fact that Steven has now changed his team to almost be identical to mine. Copycat.
I did not know going in that it would be the same. Thank you very much.
No, you guys look so... Wait, hold on.
It didn't go through yet, I bet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Let's see. Christina definitely had Leclerc because she probably hasn't touched her team in like 3 weeks. Oh, yes. Okay, wait, so Leclerc got 48. So that means, Hamilton definitely had a good day. Nobody had him, though.
No.
But I think she
Ferrari team with 67 points, though, is pretty clutch.
Yeah, electric.
This was a really poor fantasy weekend because I was the highest
scoring.
Kind
of was, yeah.
Like, average has been like 180, 190. I had weekends last year when I used like points and stuff or like chips and stuff where I was like I was like 300. I had a weekend where I was last year where I was like 352 or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm checking
that and stuff.
Yeah, we maxed out at, unironically, so it was 135 as a maximum, and the minimum was Christina. She had 51 points this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Somehow losing to Jack, who hasn't touched his team since week 1. Yuki Tsunoda is still he is driving on 4 drivers, and she lost. I don't want to be mean. Steven also lost to Jack, but
it's okay.
How is that possible? It's just because of Ferrari.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I mean, that's what it's saying. Yeah, he had wow. Okay.
I'd like to point out that I actually went into qualifying and I was like, oh crap, I forgot to look at my fantasy team. But when I did look at it, all 5 of my drivers made Q3. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Thank you, Fernando. Aston Martin had a sneakily good strategy weekend. They're not actually quick. They fell so hard at the end.
Yeah.
They had the strategy, then the speed just
Strategy wise, especially at the beginning of the race, with the first VSC, and with the qualifying, they were sneaky good. When they came out on mediums, I was watching with a family friend, and I was like, "Oh my god, Lance Stroll's on mediums for qualifying," and he was like, "No, he's not. It's just the yellow from the car." I said, "No, I swear to God, he's on mediums." So I pulled it up on my phone, and I was like, "See, I told you." And and then I was like, "Okay, well, they're just I was like, why are they using a medium because they're the race?" But it proved super good. That was just the right move for them. I don't think they would have made it in on softs, but the medium was interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone considered a medium for qualifying. They all talked about it. They're like, we all talked about it, but we wanted to keep it for the race for most of them. So
yeah. I will say one last note on fantasy. I think it is worth everybody calling the audible potentially this weekend. I've done it early and clicked the no negative chip.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
This is either for this weekend or if we know any rain race that's coming up. I mean, that's pretty much, you know. But I think more so in this case because we all have rookies on our teams, and one of them's going to dome the wall, just for sure. Whether it be in qualifying or in the race, it's going to happen. So...
Well, multiple people I think are going to hit the wall. That's for sure.
It's not going to be, There's
going to be one rookie, and I think also it's in the practice sessions is I hate watching. I have a love-hate relationship with Monaco because the way they get so close to the wall gives me so much anxiety, especially when I'm watching an onboard. Even if Max is leading the race comfortably, it's like not comfortable because you can't get comfortable. Like
No.
Like when I heard we were talking about last year, you look at like Charles Leclerc last year and he was talking about like kind of starting to get emotional in the last couple laps, and I'm like, dude, you cannot get emotional. Do not cry. Like you need to focus. Like but on that note, predictions for the Monaco Grand Prix. And if you want to throw in your Indy 500 winner of choice, you can do that.
Okay, cool. I like that. I'm not going to ask for a Coke 600 winner because I don't know if you guys know enough competitive drivers in NASCAR.
I would just say Larson.
That's okay. Yeah, just say, safe bet is honestly Kyle Larson. But, well, he's doing the double, so that is something to slightly mention.
Joey Logano is going to win the Coca-Cola 600.
Honestly, could have. Yeah, I mean, he's Sliced Bread is his nickname. He will do good, I'm sure. Mark Martin.
Larson's doing the double?
Yeah, he's doing the double.
He's doing it again. Except this year he's prioritizing NASCAR. So if there's a rain delay in Indy, he's not even going to attempt Indy. He's just going to go straight.
Last year he prioritized Indy, right? But Indy didn't.
So he waited for the rain delay.
Yeah.
So he took part in Indy, but then he arrived to NASCAR late, and I don't think did they even let him race? I don't think they even let him race.
Yeah, I thought he did.
For Justin Allgaier, who.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what happened in terms of his provisional or like.
Yeah, he did something weird, but in any case, he said he's gonna start the 600 no matter what.
Yeah. So if there is a weather delay, he's gonna find his way down to Charlotte right away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure Mr. H was probably pissed off last year as to how
Hendrick,
that unfolded.
Hendrick and Jeff Gordon are there, but
yeah. But okay, cool. So all right, we can do Indy 500 too. All right. So for me, I'm gonna say experience prevails. It's gonna come down to Saturday, obviously. I don't see a Ferrari getting the pole, so I'm gonna go with a safe bet. I'm gonna say Max Verstappen wins Monaco. So I'm gonna have him P1, Oscar P2, and then in a wild card move, I'm gonna have Alex Albon P3. I think he's gonna qualify P3 and then just be consistent. I think he's just gonna, because you can't pass. I mean, it's just. If that car qualifies P3 and he doesn't screw up once, he will finish P3.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, that's just going to have to be how it is. So that's my
Monaco.
Literally. So that's my guesstimate. And then we've talked about it before the show. I'm guessing, I don't know if Jason's going to choose the same guy for Indy, but I'm going to say Takuma Sato. I love Takuma Sato. My first Indy race I ever watched was the 2017 Indy 500.
Same.
I've told this story to you guys before. I turned it on and I was like, I'm just going to pick a driver. And I was like, that guy's Japanese. He's pretty cool. And I chose him.
Raced in F1 for a little bit.
Yeah. And
he won the whole thing.
So I was like, And then there was that whole storyline with Helio Castroneves. And then Takuma just punched him out of there.
He's like, bye. Drive for 5.
So that's my 4. Yeah. Max, Oscar, Albon, and then Takuma for the 500.
All right. Mr. Ferrari?
Charles always just finds something magical in qualifying, but I don't think he has enough for pole in this Ferrari. So it's going to be one of the McLarens. I'll say Norris. Why not? More experience around Monaco. Norris, Leclerc. I think Leclerc's going to put a P2 in quality anyways. And Max Verstappen. Then for the 500, I think Taku, as they call him in IndyCar, Takuma Sato. That would be a lot of fun. I hope Ericsson does it. Ericsson, I really want him to get his second, but he just doesn't seem competitive. Yeah. The only other person I'd want to win other than Takuma and Robert Schwartzman, that'd be hilarious. Suprema winning.
That would be hilarious.
It's literally an F2 team rocks up to IndyCar, backmarker the whole year. And the first time they've ever seen an oval, they just be like, "Wow, we don't have to turn left. We don't have to turn right. We can only focus on turning left." And then all of a sudden, they set pole with a rookie who's won F3, and that's his crowning achievement, like Lance Stroll, F3 champion. Mm-hmm. This is a long-winded way to say is I hope Takuma wins, but if Ericsson or Schwartzman or Pato wins, I would also be happy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair pull.
Yeah.
Steven?
Yeah, so I'm feeling an Oscar win in this one.
Okay.
I think Oscar gets P1. P2, I do think Charles pulls out P2. I think P3, I think Lando gets P3 in this one.
Interesting.
Then for Indy, of course, gotta go with my guy
Paddle
Pato.
Award.
Gotta.
Yeah.
The last 3 years, I believe, it's been absolutely heartbreaking for my guy.
Yeah.
Indy 500. So
Crash or
close.
P2.
Yeah. Past 3 years been absolutely heartbreaking, especially last year. Man's just finally gonna get it done, and it's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
On a 500 side, I would love to see Pato win. I would love to see Robert Schwartzman win. I have like a sneaky feeling he's gonna crash out like really early.
He might.
Yeah.
Turn
He's
one.
never done pack racing like that.
No.
Exactly.
What was this draft? Whoa.
Yeah. I like I said, I think it's so crazy for them to just rock up and put it on pole. But I don't see them winning. I would love for Pato to win. I'm not gonna say who I think is gonna win, but I would love for Pato to win. On the F1 side, I agree that experience prevails in Monaco. I did really well this weekend I don't think it was on the pod because we usually just do race predictions, but I predicted both McLaren's positions in quali. I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think Lando's gonna win.
Wow.
But I think put it on pole and crash in the first lap, and I think it's gonna be Lando's fault. I think this will be like
there's the caveat. There it is. There it is.
Of last year. Like, I think it's gonna be like that side by side turn. Well, like, no, I'm not gonna say like Lando's gonna get a penalty for forcing another. Whatever. I'm just saying like I think they're
You're just saying you're gonna be mad about it. It's okay.
It's gonna be a teammate collision, I think. But this is like again, we always do these predictions and they never happen. So
If that would have happened today, we had Lewis P2. So
yeah,
That's true.
I think we should save it for Monaco. I like that idea.
I think Lando wins. Max P2. Pierre P3.
Okay.
Wow,
Pierre
interesting.
Gasly.
Okay.
That is a wild top 3.
Wild.
Okay.
I think, as much as I
Max
hate
has
to
a
say
bad
it,
day,
Lando
huh?
kind of like deserves his Monaco glory. He's not particularly the greatest around Monaco. I don't think he has that something special that Charles Leclerc has around Monaco, which is understandable with Charles Leclerc, or I think Max has sometimes that. But the McLaren's really quick, and I genuinely like that's their strong suit has been the race, obviously, but also in qualifying. They've been top 3 in qualifying, like extremely consistently. Him and Oscar. So
Yeah.
we should see. Any last minute? You want to give your Coke 600?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I mean, Larson is definitely the favorite. He's not who I want to choose.
Because I definitely don't want Carlos.
I actually think a Ford's gonna win it.
But Kyle Larson.
Blaney won it last year. I'm gonna go Blaney goes back to back. Ryan Blaney.
I like that.
Yeah, I think a Ford's gonna win it. I don't know. I just don't want to say Larson because that's such a cop out pick because he's so
see
good.
Austin Cindric winning.
No, I can't.
Hey, he won.
I respect the pull, but like I don't know. He kind of lucked into his win last year, so I don't know. We'll see. My poll is Ryan Blaney. That's gonna be my guess. Oh, I guess a short little announcement. We do have some racing within the family, so I'll be at Pocono for the NASCAR race in June.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Jason will be at the Indy 500, so he's
I will be there
for that. And I'm sure as the summer rolls around, we're gonna get more and more news as the people go into races and what they're up to. So
Yeah.
Certified racist.
There's no way.
We love racing here, right?
So I can't like end the podcast on that. Like I was gonna outro.
Okay, sorry. Obviously, I didn't mean the way it sounds. But I'm kind of tired, and I thought of the joke.
It is a funny
joke. Yeah, don't you love racing? You know, what's your favorite race? You know,
Racer's gonna race. What can I say?
Mine's Indy 500. If you couldn't
as
tell.
you can, I got 3 hours of sleep, and it's currently what past midnight for them.
Yeah, no,
it's 12:30.
As you can tell.
Yeah.
But we are approaching a motorsports filled weekend. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk about that. Last year we did briefly talk about the 500 in our podcast. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned.
Speaking of racing, right quick. Oh, sorry.
What?
Speaking of racing, real quick. Shout out to journalism. getting the dub and the Preakness. Let's go.
Oh yeah,
horse racing.
So there is not going to be a Triple Crown this year, then.
No.
All
right. If y'all haven't seen it though, you gotta see the last straight. He pulled some massive DRS. It was actually insane.
Damn. I'll check it out.
Mom now. So
it's.
Anyways, that took you a second. He was like, "Wait, what?" Stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned on our socials at Lights Let Us on Instagram and TikTok, and of course podcast. I would say every Monday at 11:30 Eastern time, but that's becoming less and less consistent. So Mondays ?
There you go.
Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Bye.